Welcome back to Comic Book History, Episode 17. This one we're talking about Nova from Marvel Comics. Alright? Now, he was created by Michael Bushma. Yeah. He, he made his first appearance in his own solo series in September of 1976, a comic book that lasted for, at that point, 25 issues. It had the subtitle of The Human Rocket. Nova the Human Rocket, or at least The Man Called Nova. Yep. During the course of the 25 issues when it was coming out, it did have it did have a brief crossover with Amazing Spider-Man, due to the fact in issue 12, his uncle was killed. Yep, and he had a few noteworthy villains. Let's see, where are they? His noteworthy villains were, let me find them here. People like Diamond Head. Yeah, Diamond Head. Yeah, of course, there's Annihilus, the Chitauri, Condor, Corruptor, Ego, Lithostri, Powerhouse, the Skrull, the Sphinx, Thanos, and Titus. Though Titus never fought the original Nova. He fought the second Nova. Now, this original Nova, his name was Richard Rider. And he was Nova from 1976, well, the main feature Nova at Marvel from 1976 to 2010. After his comic was canceled at issue 25, due to low sales, I think that's why this book ended. Yeah, I think so. Yes. So they decided to continue the story, like wrap any the loose ends from it. They decided to continue in the pages of Fantastic Four for issues 206, 214, and issue 24 of ROM. There was a version of Noah appeared in the pages of Avengers for like a couple issues that was a supernova. After that, the character disappeared for about 7 years, 6-7 years. He disappeared for almost 10. He disappeared for, from what I can tell, about 8 years. Yeah, he disappeared for 8 years before showing up in the pages of The Mighty Thor, issue 411. Excuse me, 411 and 412, which was the first appearance of the New Warriors. And later on, he appeared in New Warriors comic book, which lasted for 75 issues and had 4 annuals. And he did appear in all 75 issues. At one point, he was even the leader of the New Warriors. During that period of time, he was given another chance at an ongoing series. An ongoing series that lasted for 18 issues. I originally thought it was 17 issues, but actually it was 18 issues. Where it was canceled due to the fact that, well, he gave us power. This is, of course, the second time. He also did it at the end of his previous appearance prior to, New Warriors #1 actually took place before Mighty Thor in 411, because it kind of explains the backstory of, like, what they were doing, like, how the team got together. Outsiders did the same thing, where the first issue actually took place before their first appearance. Yep. Yeah, there's also the whole thing with the Omega Nova, which is actually his brother from a different universe. He does have a brother, and he never did. The only love interest, he had a few different love interests over the years. One of his most noteworthy ones has been Gamora. Of course, that didn't start to Annihilation. There's also Nimrita from New Warriors. He had a thing for his friend Jenny, who is a woman, by the way. And it never went anywhere, and so, yeah. After the series was canceled, 18 issues, and of course, well, not long after that, the New Warriors ended, he later returned for a second ongoing series. I think it was, yeah, he would return in New Warriors Volume 10. I think it was, yeah, it was like, well, his ongoing, his first second ongoing series actually ended about close to a year before New Warriors Volume 1 ended. Yeah, and then when his second ongoing series, now I should point out that his third volume, which came out in the year 2000, this was written and drawn by Erik Larsen. Yes, Erik Larsen, the guy who co-created Carnage for Marvel with Dave Michelinie. He's also, people think of him nowadays as the guy who created Savage Dragon. And yeah, he took the time to do this book, and I think he did a little bit of New Warriors Volume 2, which Nova did star in that book. Both books were since canceled after a very quick period of time. Nova was canceled after 7 issues due to low sales. I personally read it last year. I'm like, wow, this was a damn good comic book. Why didn't nobody buy this back then? Yeah. And then, of course, after both series ended, Nova disappeared for a few years. So, yeah, he disappeared for a few years. And then he showed up in, like, after New Warriors ended, they decided to have it where they bring back New Warriors 5 years later as a miniseries, which the New Warriors became a reality TV show for some reason. And at the end of the miniseries, Nova went off to space to fight the Annihilation Wave, which he did. He fought it. And then after, well, he did have a miniseries during Annihilation, which was written by Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning, the guys who later write his 4th volume. After the events of Annihilation, which he basically, during the event, he killed Annihilus as revenge for killing Quasar. And he gives the most badass line of all. It says, "This is for Quasar." And he kills Annihilus. Yes, he kills Annihilus by ripping out his heart in the last issue. And this is also the same miniseries where Thanos died. Well, one of the many times Thanos has been killed. And I believe he got killed by, Drax killed him at that point. That was like one of the 2 times Drax was able to kill him. After Annihilation, Nova was given his own ongoing series again by Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning, which lasted for 36 issues. First, it had first basically just started off, and then you have it where he gets caught up with the aftermath of Civil War, the original one, where basically, and of course you have the deal with the Thunderbolts, which one of the members was actually his old friend Speedball, became Penance, because the guy blamed himself for what happened in Stanford, even though it actually was Nitro's fault. And yet the comic writers refused to write it where Nitro was the one who actually is responsible. Yeah, it's really bizarre. He had a conversation with Iron Man. They went up to space, fight the Annihilation Conquest during Annihilation Conquest storyline, where the Parallax came back and they teamed with Ultron. And of course, in the aftermath, when the storyline ended with Ultron being destroyed again. Of course, the guy disappeared for several years before show up prior to Age of Ultron. Nova went through several different kind of storylines, like apparently Nova Corps was coming back, even though they originally were killed off during the events of Annihilation. Turns out it was all planned by Eco. And of course, he also had to deal with the War of Kings stuff and Realm of Kings. He had to deal with that. And of course, I think it was prior to War of Kings that they brought back Quasar. Yeah, they brought back Quasar. After only been dead for like a year. Yeah, Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning basically gave Marvel a cosmic renaissance from 2006 to 2010. Excuse me. And that was a high point of that. The series kind of ended with Darkhawk being dropped off Project Pegasus because Darkhawk, basically an old friend of his from New Warriors, he had been blamed for the death of Leandra, the queen of the Shi'ar Empire, which actually he was brainwashed to do by another person who's from the same species who has the armor that Chris Powell uses. He's the Darkhawk. After he dropped him off, he briefly joined the Secret Avengers for a few issues, and he quit. Of course, by the way, this was of course when the series was written by Ed Brubaker, and the lineup was, get this, Steve Rogers, who was a super soldier, Nova, Moon Knight, War Machine, Black Widow, trying to think who else, Sharon Carter, she was part of the team, Beast, and I believe that was it. Yeah, I think that was it, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was the original lineup for the Avengers. Let's see. Oh yeah, he did fight the Secret Invasion, fought the Skrulls in space. Yeah, it was Beast, War Machine, Valkyrie, Moon Knight, Nova, Black Widow, Sharon Carter, well, Steve Rogers, and Ant-Man. not the Scott Lang or Hank Pym. It's actually Eric O'Grady, who was given a variant of Hank Pym's original costume. He quit after the first 4 issues because he had to deal with the return of Thanos, which dealt with the Cancerverse stuff, and then he apparently dies at the end of the miniseries. It's later explained in Guardians of the Galaxy, the original Sin tie-in, that actually he sealed up Now, before, let me back up a little bit, that during his mini-series for Annihilation, he got the World Mind put into his helmet. But he said he originally was against it because the last Nova this is to made him turn insane, referring, of course, to the Supernova. Yep. Which he does show up at a few times during the course of the Nova Volume 4. Yeah, and basically he got sealed up there, despite the whole thing. Now, when the Guardians return in 2012, you're like, they come back like because they have been disbanded at the end of Thanos Imperative, which they're replaced with Annihilators, and of course, no explanation what happened to them. Where basically during the course of Thanos Imperative, Nova and Star-Lord got trapped in the Cancerverse with Thanos, and Drax got killed as well during the course of that storyline. It was explained in Guardians of the Galaxy. Bendis explained this pretty well, that yeah, apparently nothing dies in the Cancerverse. Nothing. So they all got out, and of course something over the Cosmic Cube and stuff like that. And all of them got out of the Cancerverse except for Nova. Nova actually sort of in a way apparently sacrificed himself, basically closed the door on the Cancerverse side for the portal, which had, now here's the thing, the portal had been opened by Black Bolt during War of Kings. Yeah, in order to kill Vulcan. And yet Black Bolt survived that. No joke, during the War of Kings crossover, it was a war between the Shi'ar and the Kree, which was a rematch from Annihilation, from Operation Galactic Storm. Yeah. Black Bolt piloted a ship that has a bomb on it to kill the Emperor of the Shi'ar Empire, who was Vulcan. No joke, Vulcan. This was set up when Ed Brubaker was the writer of Uncanny X-Men. Basically, he had Vulcan go off to space, kill a bunch of the Imperial Guard, kill Leandra's brother and become the new Emperor. This is, of course, right after he killed his future brother-in-law, right after he married Deathbird. No joke. He did this right after he killed Deathbird. Married Deathbird. Yep. And basically, it's sort of, Hickman sort of explains it in FF number 7 of how Black Bolt managed to survive being blown up. Yeah. So basically, Black Bolt is the reason why we have the Cancerverse stuff. Yep, in story, he is actually his fault. Just like how it's his fault the reason why the Terrigen Mist is on the planet during Infinity. What is with Black Bolt and bombs? No joke. Twice he does a bomb. Once leading into the whole Cancerverse stuff. Now the whole thing with then the thing with the Terrigen Mist. So what happened in Infinity was not the first time he did this. He did this also in War of Kings as well. Yep. And after that, Nova himself was never seen again until 2016, where he got resurrected somehow. And this is being explained, in the current Nova book, which I'll get to Sam Alexander in a moment. After Rich Rider's apparent death, 2 years later we had a debut of a new Nova, Sam Alexander. And he was created by Jeff Loeb. Yep, the same guy who gave us Ultimatum, Ultimates 3, New Ultimates, and which New Ultimate wasn't bad. Ultimatum was his worst book. I would say second worst is Ultimates 3. Ultimatum is actually a pretty good book. But he's done other good stuff at Marvel, like Spider-Man Blue, Daredevil Yellow, Hulk Gray. Recently, he did Captain America White with Tim Sale. All his books do with Tim Sale, but yeah. He created the Sam Alexander Nova, and this was, of course, just prior to AVX breaking out. He showed up at the beginning, and he showed up at the end of the crossover. He didn't do jack squat. Apparently, also in his debut appearance, he also fought Terrax because the Phoenix was coming back, and Terrax died, though he somehow came back. Never explained how. Yeah, he was brought back in the pages of Drax, which was written by Colin Bond and CM Punk. No joke. Later on, he got his ongoing series. Loeb was tasked as the writer, left after 5 issues. And I gotta point out, this is not the first time he did this. He also did this with Supergirl, the 2 volumes back, the one that started in 2004, I believe it was. Actually, wait, it was 2005. Yeah, that the volume started in 2005. The one where uh, the version of Supergirl he introduced in the pages of Superman, Batman, in the second official arc of the series, Supergirl, which was later adapted to Apocalypse, Superman, Batman, Apocalypse. Yeah, he did the same thing for that one, where he did the 5 issues and left. He did the same thing with Nova. Then after he left, he was briefly replaced with Zeb Wells, who did issues 6 through, I believe, 17. And then the rest of the series was done by Gary Duggan, which also had him get tied up with Access, stuff like that. Yeah, here's something really weird about Nova, the 5th volume of the series. It was tied into events like Infinity, Original Sin, and Access. And of course, this was of course a great series. Despite the whole thing with him being a completely different Nova, I really enjoyed this comic book. And then in 2015, the book was relaunched #1 after 31 issues published. And they had Sean Ryan take over the book. And the book lasted for 11 issues before hitting the restart button again. Of course, one of the major storylines from the previous volume was that he was looking for his father. He apparently found his father. And it turns out the guy he found was actually a clone, and the storyline is never resolved. Yep, because Richard Rider came back. And then after the book got restarted, thanks to, well, inadvertently thanks to Civil War II, book was started #1 with the creative team, and the creative team for that book was the people who did the Groot series. Jeff Loveless, I think that's how you pronounce his name. Yeah, basically who did the Groot series. Yeah, they're currently doing Nova right now, which I've heard it's being canceled. They're only publishing 7 issues. I don't know why Marvel is doing this for, but okay. It's like, okay, we bring back your favorite character. We brought back Richard Rider after you've been begging us for the past 6 years to bring him back. He's back. We put him in a Nova book. He's working with Sam Alexander, and now we're canceling the book after only publishing 7 issues. First of which, the 2 relaunches were completely unnecessary. In the case of the previous ones, now, when they had these books come out, they actually ended and they stayed gone for a certain period of time. They weren't like publishing for a certain period of time, restart, publishing for a period of time, restart. I think one of the reasons why the series is ending is because people are getting tired of the relaunches. Yeah. Now, either that or the fact people don't like the creative team of the book because the same people who did Groot. For some reason, it's probably not selling too well. I don't know why. Maybe because of the renumber thing. It probably could be the reason why it's not selling too well. But yeah, it's going to be sad to see his series go, but Sam Alexander is still going to be around. He's in the Champions book. And he's probably going to still go pop up in Miss Marvel and Spider-Man on an occasion. He hasn't done it in a little while, but yeah, he'd probably still pop up in those books, but he probably won't have his own solo book for some reason. Either that or they're going to relaunch the book again. But in my honest opinion, the series does not need to be relaunched twice, and it does not need to end. Just restore it to original numbering. Just do that, please, Marvel. Don't end the book. Okay? But, yeah, that's all I gotta say about Nova. And I talked about both of them. Yep. But, that's it for this episode. Stay tuned for the next episode, which I haven't decided what I'm doing on yet. I'll decide something soon. It'll be episode 18 next episode, okay? But until then, I will see you there. Bye.